I am bored. That's something that we tend to hear a lot nowadays. We hear it more often than we did in the past. It seems like we always need to be stimulated in one way, shape, or form. And it seems like I need one of these all the time. The fidget spinner. This is a toy that was made for kids in order to deal with their impulsiveness. The fidget spinner. I've gone through quite a few of these. And real quick, it's an obvious one. We go on our phones, we scroll through TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and we take a look at all these quick videos and these dopamine-inducing types of content that keep us engaged, they keep us stimulated, and they really overstimulate us. And even if you mean well, if you have the Kindle app right on your home screen, it's very easy to go on social media. So just put this down, and if carrying a book around is really too hard, you can take a book with a Kindle. Let's get in depth on this. All right, so this is a very important issue because boredom is something that we do not enjoy. It seems like we're always trying to get away from being bored. We're always looking for something to watch on TV. We're looking for something to scroll on our apps, on our phones, on our tablets. And it seems like we're always constantly looking for that dopamine-inducing effect. It seems like we want that excitement, that enjoyment, that pleasure that we get from all of these different types of things that steal our attention. And it's not good. It's not healthy for you. Being bored is actually a good thing. It helps to stimulate your creativity. It helps to stimulate your thought process. It helps to ensure that you could focus and that you can have deeper thought. And one of the best ways I like to equate this, or to try to have an analogy or metaphor or whatever you call it, is with chess. There are a bunch of different types of ways to play chess, right? You have a bunch of different time controls. You have bullet chess. Oh man, bullet chess is fun. It's typically about 60 seconds per opponent, right? So you have 60 seconds that you're battling it down to try to win the game. Now, when you have such a short time frame of playing the game of chess, you're not really deeply thinking. You're not really going deep into the thought process. You're not thinking about your overall multi-move strategy in the game. Now, contrast that to classical chess, where you have typically a time control of at least 30 minutes or more. Now, in this type of chess, you're able to sit back for a moment. You're able to think. You're able to process what's taking place on the board. And that processing time allows you to develop a better strategy long-term for that game itself. You could think several moves ahead, and this allows you to develop your thought process in terms of thinking deeply. Now, I like to use this comparison because I think it makes sense. If you're always on the go, if you're always scrolling through your apps, if you're always doing something and you're not really giving yourself a chance to think, even when you're kind of relaxing, you're listening to music, and music is great. I love music. But if you're not really allowing yourself to just get lost in your thoughts, and you're allowing your thoughts to be guided by whatever it is that's stimulating your mind, then you're not really able to focus long term. You're not really developing the skill of deep thinking. And I think that ultimately that hurts you in the long run. We need to have both. We need to have the yin and the yang. We have to be able to be stimulated when needed, but also at the same time to be able to be alone with our thoughts. In essence, to be bored. You know, it's hard because we live in a society that we want things fast. We want fast results. We want to learn how to code in a matter of days, but we don't want to invest the time, the months, the years that it takes to really learn how to think like a programmer. We want to be able to microwave our food. We know it doesn't taste as good, but we want it fast. We want fast food. We know it's not the same as when you sit down at a good restaurant or have a good home-cooked meal. We want the junk food. We want the already made processed food, already made ice cream and cake. But we know it tastes better when you make the ice cream at home yourself. We know it tastes better when you actually spend the time to bake a cake. But we like things fast. And I think that what's happening is, since we tend to spend more time watching these short form content like TikTok, Instagram Reels, or looking at YouTube Shorts, it's really conditioning our brains in order to need that stimulation, that overstimulation. And that makes it harder for us to focus. It makes it harder for us to be able to be alone with our thoughts. Now, I'm not saying that TikTok is bad, or Instagram is bad, or YouTube Shorts are bad. I think there's a place for it. I think it's very important, it's very helpful, because sometimes you want to have a good laugh, or sometimes you want to have quick access to information in a very short and truncated format. And there's definitely a place for that. But if that's all you're consuming and you never really get to do a deep dive, how much are you learning, or how much are you truly enjoying that moment? And I think that's another thing, the fact that we have to learn to be alone with ourselves in order to just really understand what's taking place in our lives. You have to be able to reflect. You have to be able to turn off the music, even if it's classical music or if it's binaural beats or whatever type of music you're using to relax. Even that, you have to turn it off. And you have to be able to just listen to your thoughts. See where they take you. Make sure you have no distractions. Have a moment where you're just by yourself. If you could effectively do that, then you're going to be helping yourself, because you're going to appreciate more the times you do spend looking at those TikToks or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts or listening to that music. Because what happens is, if you end up always being stimulated, getting overstimulated, it's going to take a little bit more each time to get you to that same level that you were before. Remember, it's a dopamine effect, right? It's the triggering and the stimulation within your brain, that reward mechanism that's taking place. So if you require 10 TikToks to get to one level, the next day you might require 11. In essence, what it is that the more you do something, the more it's going to take in order for you to get to that same level you were before. And it's tough, because let me tell you, there's distractions everywhere, especially being in New York City, right? This is the city that never sleeps. There's always something happening. There's always a restaurant open, there's a bar open, there's a lounge open, there's a club, there's always something taking place. Restaurants close at like midnight, they become hangouts after a certain time. So being alone with your thoughts, it's not an easy thing to do. Now, the opposite's also true. You don't always want to just be alone. You don't want to always be in monk mode. You want to be able to give yourself an opportunity to really have a good time. And it's about appreciating both the yin and the yang. By allowing yourself to get properly stimulated, you develop the proper responses, the mental responses. By allowing yourself to be alone with your thoughts, you allow yourself to appreciate the times that you get to have a good time. And also, you get to reflect, you get to think deeply. And this allows you the opportunity to really grow as an individual and to get an assessment of where you are currently. And I think that's important, because a lot of times we don't do that, and then we wonder why we get exhausted. Even if you think you're getting enough sleep, I'm pretty sure the vast majority of you, the vast majority of us, because this happens to me too, is that we wake up tired, even if you get 8 hours. And the reason is because we're on information overload, decision overload. I mean, there was a study years ago, and I forget which study it was, but in essence, the idea of it was the fact that the human eye only saw a certain amount of images or frames per day. But fast forward to today, and that number's gone up significantly. And that impacts our brains. The amount of information that we process in a day has changed big time. And there's pros and cons to that. The pros are that we're learning more. We're advancing further. We're able to grow faster. But the downfall of that is that we're not able to rest as much as we should, or we're not able to think long term. So embracing the boredom, that's something that I think we all need to learn. And I'm constantly trying to do that myself, because when I'm playing chess, it's easier for me to just play a game of bullet chess. It's faster, it's shorter in time frame. You know, you don't have to devote so much time to a game. And there's a benefit with bullet chess, so let me not sound like I'm knocking it. The benefit is you get to really learn your opening strategy real quickly, right? But at the same time, you're not really learning long-term strategy. So it's easier for me to take my phone, go onto chess.com or go onto Lead Chess and get a game of bullet chess going than it takes to get a 30-minute game going. Got to devote a whole lot more time to a 30-minute game. It's an hour at most, because it's 30 minutes your side, 30 minutes for your opponent's side, versus a 1-minute bullet game, which is just 1 minute on your side and 1 minute on their side. So I'm doing this exercise myself. I'm trying to find time that I could just sit back, relax, turn everything off, drown out the world, and just be alone with my thoughts. It's a good exercise. You know, some people call it going into monk mode, but I think monk mode's a little bit deeper than just being alone with your thoughts. It's more about deep focus on a specific task. You know, some people say you got to get into meditation in order to truly appreciate the thought process. and to be alone with your thoughts and to really understand what's taking place internally. I'm not the best meditator. I try to do it every now and then. I'm not going to profess to be one of these people that can sit down for hours on end and meditate. Now, I do 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. I try to get some time where I could just relax and try to unwind. So definitely meditation, something I got to get better at. Stuck in traffic? This is a good time. Is it normally a good time to test yourself? Can you regulate the feeling of wanting to get to your destination fast with, let me take a moment. Can't really change the traffic patterns. So let me just be alone with my thoughts, or here with you, the camera and the viewers, and think about my next steps. If you live in a big city, traffic is something you have to contend with, and yeah, you get a lot of time to really try to reflect. But the big takeaway is you gotta be able to do less if you wanna do more. It sounds contradictory, right? You gotta do less to do more. But it makes sense, because once you start eliminating things that consume a significant amount of your time, but don't really add that much value, and once you embrace boredom, then you'll be in a situation that you can start really reflecting and thinking and strategizing long term. And as a programmer, as someone who needs to be able to really focus for long hours on end, embracing the boredom is something I'm trying to do every day. Again, not saying not to have a good time. You gotta have a good time. But in order to appreciate one, you have to have the other. All right, so hopefully you found the video helpful. I just wanted to touch base on the topic of embracing boredom. You know, we're always trying to get stimulated in one way, shape, or form. And we're trying to find that next thing that's gonna grab our attention. But sometimes you just gotta tune out and turn things off. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, share your comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.